Good afternoon. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, we'll get you updated on what's happening around the business world here on this Friday. We got the PCE report, right? Personal consumption expenditures list out earlier today. Key number there that the Fed looks at, of course, in terms of inflation. Get you updated on that. Stocks we're paying attention to with that market watch. Then, of course, local and national stories that you need to know going into this 3-day weekend. And we're coming up to the end here of the day. And don't forget, on Monday, we will be off here. Main event will be off. McCollum on Business will be off. Obviously going to enjoy the 3-day weekend, recharge our batteries, and it's a big college football weekend, right, coming back. So we'll be back on Tuesday next week. But now let's get this done by going with the Market Watch. End of the month, right? Last trading day of the month. You guys know how this pretty much works. Everything's a sell-off day here. A lot of the big conglomerates are selling off, doing their, selling off profits for the month, redoing their books, etc., balancing them out. So sell-off occurs at this point. As you can see, the Dow Jones is down 84 points right now, 45,514. S&P 500 is down the 45 points to 64.57. The NASDAQ down 263 points, 21,444 for it. Russell 2K, 13 points down, 2365 for that small cap index. And then you see Bitcoin there down 4,100. Look at this. It is down under the 110,000 level, 108,402 for Bitcoin here today. And again, a big sell-off day here for the big companies. When we come back on Tuesday, will be the first trading day of the new month there of September. So we'll have to see what happens. Not a surprise, but the S&P is headed toward a fourth winning month in a row, even with today's sell-off. So some positivity, and don't freak out too much there about what's happening on this last trading day of the month. Stocks we're paying attention to right now, well, Petco, health and wellness. Of course, WOOF is their ticker symbol, which I absolutely love. Well, they're up 20% today, folks. Yeah, with the stock price that low, a 20% uphill is only 65 cents. But some good news for them here today. It was up over 22% at one point today. They raised their full year adjusted guidance. Second quarter earnings per share did top the estimates that were out there. Good reporting here by Petco, and that's why they're being rewarded here today with that 20% increase for Petco here on the market. Next up, Celsius, that beverage company. Well, they're up 3.81% right now. Was up over 4% earlier today, and it's all because PepsiCo came in and they announced they upped its stake in Celsius Holdings to 11% is what they now hold. Pepsi does in Celsius Holdings. So anytime you get a nice funding and stake increase, well, your stock generally goes up, and that is the case here for Celsius Holdings today. And then finally here in this segment, our last stock, Caterpillar is what we're going to look at. They are down today, 4.27%. Yeah, not good, right? But it's not going to be a shocker what I tell you here. They warned they could take a $1.5 to $1.8 billion hit just this year due to the tariffs out there. So Caterpillar, that's a huge tariff hit for Caterpillar if it comes through, and obviously not wanted news. Going to help hurt profitability if you take that big of a hit. 4.29% down right now for Caterpillar. When we come back later and do our market watch for the final time this week, we'll also look at the stocks of Affirm Holdings, Ulta Beauty, and then Dell Technologies as well. Lots of companies reporting, right? Smaller companies, tech companies reporting right now. We saw a lot of retail stocks as well. So a lot of mixed bags out there. And we'll wrap up this week here looking at some of that coming up. But first, that personal consumption expenditure price index did come out this morning. And it showed that core inflation, and don't forget, core inflation, it does exclude the volatile food and energy costs. The core inflation number in this report ran at 2.9%, according to the report, and it comes from the Commerce Department, by the way. So it's 1.1 percentage point from the June level. It's the highest annual rate since February, but it is in line with the forecasted and expected amount that was out there. On a monthly basis, the core PCE index actually increased 0.3%. That was in line with expectations. The all items index, well, it showed the annual rate comes in at 2.6%. There's a monthly gain of 0.2% as well, all hitting the consensus estimates out there. So even with the numbers that the PCE report came out with, markets still expect the Fed to resume lowering the benchmark interest rate when they do meet next month in September. Keep in mind, they want the number around 2%. And we have sticky inflation. It's been at the 2.3, now at 2.6 level for a while now. And also, this report shows that the tariffs are going through the economy right now, right? As the number kind of ticks up a little bit to that 2.6 level. If we want to kind of get an idea of what Fed governors who vote on it kind of think, well, yesterday, Fed Governor Christopher Waller, he reiterated his support for a cut in the benchmark pricing as well. He said this yesterday before the numbers today. He did say that he would entertain a larger move if labor market data continue weakening. So a quarter price decrease is expected coming up in September. Fed governor said that's probably what he's going to vote for. But so watch those labor numbers coming up here, because if those are bigger drops and higher unemployment, you could see a bigger than a quarter price hit coming up. I did look into this a little bit more and kind of where we should be at. And a lot of economists say we should have an interest rate of about 1 to 1.5 points lower than where we're at right now, which is where President Trump says, right, too late, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, and those types of names, is because the consensus is we should have a lower interest rate. So we'll have to pay attention to it. Not a stellar personal consumption expenditure price index reporting today, but also not terrible as we are looking at that. So the 2.9 inflation number on core, like I said, one around 2, did tick up a little bit. Those tariffs are responsible for that. And then let's look at Tesla. We haven't looked at them in a while specifically, right? Elon Musk has left the government here, gone back to his private businesses, and well, Europeans are not happy with Elon Musk still to this day, and they're showing it because they're not buying the Tesla cars. This obviously is a big deal here for that industry, and Elon Musk actually predicted a major rebound in Tesla sales. Well, it's not happening according to data that was released yesterday. Tesla sales are down 40% in July in the European Union countries, which there's 27 of those. And that was compared to a year earlier. And sales overall of electric vehicles are actually way high within the European countries, European Union countries. So electric vehicle sales up, Tesla sales down 40%. Oof, not good numbers here for Tesla and Elon Musk. Who's gaining here in the electric vehicle sales? Well, that Chinese company, BYD. They continue to climb there in the European Union. They grabbed 1.1% market share of all car sales in the month. Tesla only had 0.7%, so all car sales, not just electric vehicles. Musk, of course, angered not just Europeans, but Americans, right? But since we're talking about the Europeans, he angered them by getting into the politics over there, not just what he was saying here, right? He embraced far-right candidates over there in Europe. He called the British Prime Minister a, quote, evil tyrant, and he said that he belongs in jail. He even told Germans that, quote, things will get very, very much worse, unquote, in their country if they don't vote for the anti-immigrant alternative for the Germany party. Protests, obviously, just like here, broke out in several cities, including effigies, right, hanging of Elon Musk, signs against him, etc. In Italy and other of the countries there. London had pictures of him as a Nazi, for instance. So he's angered a lot of people, right? The company has several other problems, though, that are hurting their sales, especially in that area. They're still awaiting European regulatory approval to allow Tesla owners there on that side of the pond to use its most advanced driver assistance features that actually are available here in the U.S. That is a big appeal to drivers that want to buy Teslas. And if it's not available, well, why buy the car if you can't get what you want, right? Musk had predicted approval of that full self-driving software He said it was going to happen in March of this year and still awaiting that. Elon Musk makes a lot of predictions that don't come true and hurts everything. Well, another issue over there on the European side of things, well, Tesla decided to close down factories temporarily earlier this year because they were retooling the factories there for that new version of the Model Y sport utility vehicle. They're trying to update it, get a sportier model after this car has gotten stale and older out there. And so, the new version shutting everything down, hurting not just employees, right, and working, but also cars available in that area. The Tesla is hoping the introduction of the cheaper Teslas in the last 3 months of this year will help boost their sales in that region because 40% down is huge. Overall, if we want to look at Tesla sales, they sold 6,000 cars in July in the EU. Well, they sold 11,465 just a year ago. This came despite a 39% surge in battery electric vehicle sales overall. That is an amazing difference there within the sales of Tesla compared to their rivals. For the first 7 months of this year, Tesla sales have fallen 44%. For that entire period, instead of just like July, Tesla accounted for 1.2% of European sales of all types. Battery, hybrid, gas-powered, right? All types of cars. And then back then, BYD had 0.9% of those sales. So numbers are switching. Chinese manufacturers are making their inroads there in the European Union. Tesla not having a good time over there, despite Elon Musk's predictions that are happening. And then yesterday, well, if you're looking for a house, looking to refinance, well, mortgage rates made some moves yesterday, right? It fell to a 10-month low yesterday, and that's according to Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac's latest primary mortgage market survey, well, it was released yesterday afternoon, and it showed the average rate on the benchmark 30-year fixed mortgage. It fell to 6.56%. Last week, well, it read at 6.58%, so 0.02% tick down there. The average rate on a 30-year loan was 6.35% just a year ago. Meanwhile, average rate on a 15-year fixed mortgage, well, it's unchanged from last week. It's in at that 5.69% again. A year ago, that 15-year fixed note averaged 5.51%, so we're still higher compared to last year, but we are seeing a downtick here in mortgage rates as well. Obviously, we've had those stories of how only 28% of available inventories is affordable to most people out there, and a lot of it is the interest rates. It's not just the pricing of the houses, which are coming down, but it's also the interest rates keeping houses and homes unaffordable for not just first-time buyers, but people looking to move and move into something better, whether upgrading or downgrading their houses. So maybe that trend will continue for us as well here coming up. And, and it's until I think the economy as a whole is going to, continue to struggle and that stuff until interest rates get down to a level here. And that's why this rate cut, if it happens here coming up, is a huge deal. Even a 0.25% cut down. I know it doesn't go with mortgage rates, but a 0.25% down is just going to help flow some money out into corporations and personal stuff as well. Speaking of, well, I guess I don't know how to transition to interest rates to this, but right, we talked yesterday about TSMC building that power or that water plant up there in North Phoenix and everything. Well, now let's talk about how, we all know they do the world's most advanced chips, right? Supplies, partners, big companies out there, NVIDIA, other big ones, AMD as well. Well, how do you hide those trade secrets, right? And can you grow and foster innovation with those trade secrets and what you do with them? Well, TSMC is doing something interesting here. They're planning to market a system it has built, and they want to manage and leverage the treasure trove of trade secrets to companies in Europe and the United States as what they're trying to do, right? Because they, obviously, if you're building a chip for NVIDIA, you know their trade secrets, and you got to kind of keep it quiet, et cetera. You're trusted with that. So it's interesting to see what they want to do here. They obviously want to make money off it, right? But this trade secrets registry system, which they actually began building back in 2013, it's been adopted so far by 20 local firms, including ASE Technology Holding Co. as well. The registry system, well, it came from an idea that companies should not only look to protect their trade secrets, but also catalog them in a way that they can encourage innovation within other companies as well. The ultimate goal is to retain more technology within the company and reinforce TSMC's competitive advantage. Well, TSMC has more than 610,000 cases logged into its trade secret registration system. As I run out of breath on that long sentence, at the end of July, 610,000 cases logged. That includes technology and even know-how on how to make these chips. The database integrates with its HR and IT platforms. It uses artificial intelligence analytics to monitor projects, track joint development with outside partners, and even identify standout talent is what they're looking for. Well, the system is protected by the protecting all this very, very private information by information security processes and its automatic encryption of archived files. It includes the trade secret database, ensuring that even if hackers obtain the data, well, they wouldn't be able to read any of its contents. You'd need the key, right? Despite its efforts to protect those trade secrets, well, as we know, we told you about this here at McCollum on Business, they recently reported a theft case. So obviously that kind of makes you aware and kind of wonder about the challenges that country companies like TSMC face in keeping their proprietary technologies protected out there. So interesting, another movement here from TSMC, of course, based out of Taiwan, but big plant up here in Arizona. And EV drivers, right? You want to get away from gas. Obviously, I pay an additional fee when I register my car every year, but I don't pay gas taxes, right? For instance, with my electric vehicle, well, that could be changing here if Oregon and a couple of other states have an idea, because Oregon, they're planning on coming the second U.S. state to require electric vehicle owners, yes, to enroll in a pay-per-mile program. The lawmakers in Oregon are beginning a special session here today. They need to fill a $300 million transportation budget hole, and that threatens basic services. Snow plowing, road repairs, obviously, is where a lot of that money goes to. Legislatures in Oregon failed earlier this year to approve a transportation funding package. Hundreds of state workers' jobs are in limbo, and the proposal for a road usage charge for ED drivers was left on the table afterwards. By the way, Hawaii is the first state to do that. They did it back in 2023 as well. So it's a mandatory road usage charge there in Hawaii, and it make up projected decreases for fuel tax revenue. And it's a lot of electric vehicles, a lot of hybrid vehicles, fuel efficient cars over there in Hawaii. Many other states have studied the concept. Oregon, Utah, Virginia have voluntary programs. If you want to voluntarily give more money to the government, they'll allow you to do it. I get it, right? We all need to find ways to do it. And I don't mind an extra fee, right, for that, because we're not paying for gas, but pay per mile? That's ridiculous. But this concept has promise as a long-term funding solution, according to experts. Others, though, they're always that other side, right? They worry that the privacy concerns and discouraging people from buying EVs, which can help reduce transportation emissions. Like, I drive a lot, right? I drive 45 minutes just to get here every day, and then 45 minutes home on top of it. It better be cheaper than me buying a gas car, or I'll just go back to a gas vehicle at that point. Oregon's transportation department says the budget shortfall stems from inflation, projected declines in gas tax revenue, and other spending limits. Over the summer, it sent layoff notices to nearly 500 workers and announced plans to close a dozen road maintenance stations up there in Oregon. And the other thing is I just have a fundamental issue with making up misspending by the government by raising taxes on the constituents out there and everything. So just heads up there, just something coming for Oregon and, already in Hawaii, but coming for Oregon as well. And how far will it spread is the big question. And media news out there, as we all know, this is a tough industry to be in, especially if you're a big conglomerate. Ad revenue is down here in this economy. It's harder to get people to sign up. People just aren't reading newspapers anymore. You can get information online faster than that. Well, a big paper, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, it's going to stop providing a print edition at the end of the year It'll go completely digital at that time. Obviously, it's a dramatic change for a storied and historic newspaper there, and it was founded shortly after the Civil War. I don't have a problem with them going digital, to be honest with you. I think that's probably the smart way to go, but interesting move, right? The decision will make Atlanta the largest U.S. metro area without a printed daily newspaper. Although some smaller metro Atlanta newspapers will continue printing and are continuing printing their papers. The publisher there, Andrew Morse, he said in his Thursday announcement that the news organization's aim is to expand its audience and it continues to report the news using online, audio, and video products. Yeah, it's just some people, especially older generations, don't want to log in to look at that stuff. The newspaper is privately owned and is privately owned by descendants of the Cox family. Former Ohio Governor James Cox bought the Atlanta Journal in 1939 and the Atlanta Constitution in 1950. The Atlanta Constitution was founded in 1868. Obviously, that's just a couple years after the Civil War left Atlanta, and caused the damage there as that rolled through. It did become the platform for famous editors, including New South booster Harry Grady and anti-segregationalist Ralph McGill. And, well, it's still going to be there. It's just online versions only coming your way there. You're going to see this filter through more and more, of course, here, right? The Arizona Republic is printing their papers now in Vegas and kept being shipped down here for their daily stuff. They just laid off some more reporters as well for them. And I think you're going to see this trend happen more and more and more coming up here as well. So, hey, got a follow up for you here, right? Because Cracker Barrel, of course, CEO was out there in the news defending the logo change, defending the $700 million remodel. Everywhere saying how everybody's on board with it. Just a few vocal minority people don't like it, et cetera, et cetera. Well, since they announced the other day they're going back to the old logo, she's gone silent. Nobody's heard her anywhere. Well, the Cracker Barrel CEO, her name is Julie Fells. Messino is her name. She was spotted throughout the day yesterday in Tennessee. It's the first time anybody's seen her since she's obviously... and be seen in public, I should say, since that restaurant chain's controversial logo change and all the backlash that has been happening over that. So she was seen leaving her home in the affluent suburban Nashville neighborhood of Green Hills yesterday morning. If you don't know where Green Hills is, it's about 30 miles west of the headquarters of Cracker Barrel. That's in Lebanon, Tennessee. Photos show Messino driving a gray Mercedes-Benz. I don't know why that's important. Well, I don't know why I left that in the story. She had security guards, though, trailing her in a separate car. So, that tells you kind of what the situation is with that. Folks, don't do death threats and stuff over a logo, right? As well, she was on her way to Starbucks, by the way. So that's how relaxed her life is. She arrived at the corporate offices of Maple Street Biscuit Company in Brentwood instead. Now, she went there, well, because Cracker Barrel... bought Maple Street Biscuit Company, and so she went to those headquarters instead of, the Cracker Barrel headquarters as well, which doesn't that tell you she's hiding a little bit as well? Yeah, back in October of 2019, the Maple Biscuit Company was acquired by Cracker Barrel. So, by the way, that was a $36 million all-cash deal when that went through. So she was going to that headquarters, not in Tennessee, instead of going to Cracker Barrel. That tells me she's hiding a little bit. Right. Fox Business did approach her as she was headed back to her car for an interview, asking questions about the update on the logo change being moved back, what's next for them with all this backlash. And yeah, she ignored them. No shocker there. She was on the phone, they claim, as well. She went straight to her vehicle, into the driver's seat, and then drove her way. And then security, of course, traveled behind her. And I want to know how they got so close to her where she had security. That's failed security. You shouldn't even be able to get close to her to ask her questions. That's what security's for, right? I do find it interesting that I'm going to call her hiding. I'm going to use that terminology, but I do find it interesting. We haven't heard from her and stuff like that. So just a little side note here on your business day here on this Friday. Appreciate you joining us. When we get back, Market Watch for the final time this week. End of the month sell-off is currently happening on. No shocker there. Stocks we're paying attention to, and then some local stories. If you like healthy food, well, a healthy food chain's coming into town. We'll tell you about that here as we wrap up the show. And come on back, folks. It's McCollum on Business. And we're back here, McCollum on Business, and Friday edition, getting this week over with. Hopefully you have a 3-day weekend coming your way. Don't forget, we will not be here on Monday. A main event and McCollum on Business off on Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday. Big college football weekend, and we set it up this morning on the main event, 8 to 10 a.m. live at Robat TV, of course. Free podcast out there for you if you'd like to listen to it. Your favorite podcast system. Just search for the main event with Steven, and it'll pop right up for you. Or go to @TME Sports Show on any of the social medias and click on the link to your favorite podcast system, and you'll find it there. And new thing this week, we're putting the whole shows up on YouTube as well for you. So if you don't watch us live, you want to watch us, you don't want to log into the Robat account, want to watch us live, well, on YouTube for you right now as well. So check that out. Like and subscribe to that page. Just go to YouTube, search the main event with Stephen McCollum. It'll pop right up for you as well. And like and subscribe that page, like and subscribe the free podcast. Just gets us out there for everybody. Just another avenue for people to see us. McCollum on Business also on YouTube right now. And you just saw the ad for the Pit Stop. Actually, with all the changes we've been working on, Pit Stop, and we're waiting for a lawsuit to go through an update on that. Pit Stop will be up today, this afternoon. Robat TV, of course, and then YouTube, it'll be up there as well. Of course, a free podcast for that on Podbean. At the Pit Stop Talk is the social media there coming your way as well, folks. So new avenue for you to watch the show. Of course, on demand there on YouTube. Nothing live there as of yet, but stay tuned here as we keep kind of just bringing more and more stuff out there to you guys, and appreciate the feedback on those of you that didn't even advertise the YouTube page at all. Some of you have already found the business show. We appreciate you doing that, giving your feedback on that as well. And folks, we've got a 3-day weekend ahead of us. Let's finish strong here with the Market Watch. The last day of the trading month, sell-offs occur, and that's no different today, right? The S&P 500 is down to 44 points. Dow Jones down 79. NASDAQ down 252 points right now. The Russell 2K down 15 points. Bitcoin down big, 4,400 points down here today. 108,000 range for that right now. 108,110 for Bitcoin. We'll have to see what it does this holiday weekend when we come back on Tuesday. But everybody's just redoing their portfolios, balancing it out, taking profits. That happens at the end of the month a lot of the times, especially recently here with the market conditions and stocks we're paying attention to. We're going to talk about Affirm Holdings. This is that buy now, pay later provider. That's our first stock that we're going to look at. Well, they're up about 11% here today. Well, it's down 10.49% right now, but in that 11% range. Their fiscal fourth quarter earnings and revenue did beat analyst expectations. Affirm earned 20 cents per share. Revenue was $876 million. Estimates were 11 cents per share in earnings, so they blew that out of the water by 9 cents. The estimate was $837 million in revenue. Well, it came in at $876 million. Folks, a lot of people love their buy now, pay later services, and Affirm's numbers show that. That's why they're up 10.49% here today. And then let's look at some cosmetics, beauty products, right? Ulta Beauty is what we're going to look at. And they're up today as well. They were up around 6% earlier today, and you can see it's gone up a little bit more, 6.85% right now. They actually raised their full year earnings and revenue forecast with their announcements. Ulta expected full year revenue of $12 to $12.1 billion. Well, the estimate was $11.7 billion is what was expected there as well. I apologize. They're down. Ulta Beauty right now is 6.93%. I do apologize for that. As well, Ulta expects full year earnings of $23.85 to $24.30 per share. Analysts were expecting the 23.65%. And yeah, it was up when I looked at it earlier today, folks. And now it's down. It switched on us here to that 6.88% down here for Ulta Beauty as the day has gone on. Dell Technologies is next up. Right, computers, servers, etc. Well, that's down today as well. 9.21% right now. Well, they gave third quarter earnings per share guidance, and it was well below Wall Street's expectation level, which is never good on your guidance side. Dell did, though, beat its top and bottom lines in the latest quarter. It's just that guidance that they put out is the issue. So Dell Technologies down that 9.27% as of right now. And I'm just looking up that Ulta Beauty again here just because, yeah, they were up. When I looked at them, about 10 o'clock Phoenix time today, they were up today about 4.5%. So you can see the big switch there for them as the day has gone on there. So now get into some local stories and get this Friday edition before the holiday weekend all done. And appreciate you joining me here. And well, Chris Mays is the Attorney General here in Arizona, and good news, bad news, I guess. Well, she's suing somebody else. Good news is it's not President Trump again, right, in his administration. Seems to be a favorite for her, but she is the latest Attorney General to sue the makers of hefty recycling bags. Yeah, why would you do that? It kind of questioned you a little bit. Well, Mays does contend that the parent company lied on packaging. They misled Arizonans and profited off of well-meaning consumers. Yes, this annoys me when people advertise like this or say stuff on the packaging and it just isn't true. Well, Mays announced the lawsuit earlier this week. She claims Reynolds Consumer Products, which is the parent company, misrepresented the line of blue, clear, and recycling bags as actually being recyclable. Well, recyclable. Say that 10 times fast. Here's the quote. Arizonans believe they were doing the right thing buying these bags, and they paid a premium for these so-called recycling bags when, in fact, they were paying for something that harmed our ability to actually recycle. That's what Mays had said in a statement. And that's because the bags actually become entangled in the equipment that's used to sort recyclables, which, if that happens, then they shut down the facility and cause other issues. She goes on to say, quote, it's all wrapped up and it's closed up. And that suggests that the person could just toss that thing into the recycling bin when in fact you can't and you shouldn't, because doing so messes up the recycling machine at the city, according to Mays' statement went on to say. So 2 other states have filed their own consumer fraud complaint. Reynolds has changed its packaging based off of those other 2 lawsuits. But Mays does say the company is still misleading consumers because the image of the bag filled with recyclable materials is still on the box. So it kind of gives you the same impression as well. And you pay more for that type of stuff, folks. So that's the idea behind that. And, we talked earlier about, right, TSMC's data breach and how they're trying to, get their system out there to do it. Well, Barrett-Jackson Auction Co., which is a Scottsdale-based company, as you probably know, do that big auction here every, February. Well, they have an issue here. They're facing a class action lawsuit, and this is after they had their own significant data breach happen. So in July, Barrett-Jackson actually informed affected clients and government regulators that personal information of customers and employees actually may have been stolen as part of a data breach that occurred around November of 2024. It's a long time to wait to tell people. The company has not released specific details of that data breach, It did say in a statement that in November 2024 cyber event, it was actually impacted some of their devices within that Barrett-Jackson network. While cyber attacks and data breaches, they're becoming very more common, as we know. Barrett-Jackson's clientele, a little bit more worried, right? Because they include wealthy and high-profile collector car enthusiasts. And not only do they have a lot of money, but they have a lot of assets they'd like to protect, right, with those cars. The cyber criminals copied certain personal information, including social security numbers, financial account information, credit debit card information, driver's license stuff, health insurance information, digital signatures of thousands of individuals. This is all according to a Maricopa County Superior Court document that was found. Not long after the data breach was revealed, multiple lawsuits were filed against Barrett-Jackson, including two in Maricopa County. They were brought by two individuals that Maricopa County Superior Judge came out and combined into a single class action lawsuit, even though they started off separately. Those defendants do allege Barrett-Jackson took too long to reveal the breach and did not give affected parties enough information about what happened and what information was taken, if their information was taken, for instance. The lawsuit alleges Barrett-Jackson's computer network was inadequately secured, and the plaintiffs also accused Barrett-Jackson of negligence, unjust enrichment, and breach of implied contract, is what they're saying in the lawsuit. Of course, Barrett-Jackson has not submitted a response to the lawsuit yet, as it's a fairly new lawsuit out there, but not every state government, when you look into this, has to requires and says companies have to inform of a data breach. Some states do, but not all of them do, right? According to the information Barrett-Jackson gave to state governments, the breach affected 1,794 people. Then they ranged from different states. 1,794 people in Texas, 944 in Washington, 405 in Massachusetts, 83 in New Hampshire, and then 65 people in Maine as well, all affected by it out there. So lawsuits happening here to Barrett-Jackson based off of that. And right, I mean, if you got people's financials in there, people buying cars, if you've got what they bought from you, so let it out there. That's very important information you probably don't want out there, folks. And we'll finish up today on this Friday edition. It's about lunchtime, whether you're catching us live here at Robat TV at 11. You're going to watch us later on at Robat TV On Demand, or catch us on the YouTube channel now as well. Just search McCollum on Business on YouTube. It'll come right up for you. Whether you're catching us there, well, appreciate you very much. But let's end with some food talk here. And right, there's a healthy food chain out there, and it's going to officially enter the Valley Market. They're going to open 2 new restaurants, and they're going to open coming up in the fall. It's called Sweet Green is the company we are talking about. They'll open in Scottsdale Quarter on September 23rd. They announced that yesterday from the company announced that. The second location is going to be on Camelback and 32nd Street later in the fall. That came from the CEO and him saying that at that time. So one really close to us here at our studios. This brand has open kitchens along with menu items like crispy rice bowl, miso glazed salmon, and hot honey chicken on their menu. They focus on community impact as well. They partner with local organizations that give back to neighborhoods as an organization, and I've never had their food. I'd like some healthy places, to be honest with you. Other ones like I'm gonna throw them out here, but what's that one, the Chop place? Not a fan of that place at all. But some of that stuff, right? Pita Jungle, I think is fantastic. Some of their chicken dishes. So Sweet Green coming here shortly, and hopefully some good food coming our way, and 2 locations coming. And folks, we get through this Friday here. Hopefully your Friday's almost done as well. If you didn't have it off right and you didn't get out of town earlier, AAA Airlines saying record travel this weekend as well. And folks, have a great, safe weekend out there. Stay cool if you stay here in town. Enjoy your football if you're a football fan. Got some high school games tonight, some college games on TV. I'll be at a high school game tonight, and then, of course, ASU game gets underway tomorrow night as well. We'll be back on Tuesday here at MOB, McCollum on Business. Come and join us then at 11 o'clock. We appreciate you. Follow us. Subscribe to us there on YouTube if you would. Gets us out there as well. Follow the free podcast of The Pit Stop, and, of course, the main event as well. And folks, we'll keep it rolling and we'll see you back on Tuesday. Have a great, safe weekend.